Hello, in this video I'm going to go through how we would find and factor the GCF out of this polynomial. Depending on who your teacher was, this may look different than how you saw in class. Just after teaching this a couple of times, I'm changing up how I show it because I think it will work a little bit better. So as we get started, we want to find the GCF. This stands for the greatest common factor. And what we are looking for is the biggest thing that goes into all of our terms. So I am looking for what is the biggest term that goes into those three pieces. Now, our GCF has two different things going on in it. It has the constant and it has the variable. So I'm going to start with the constant. And just to make my life a little bit easier, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to start with my smallest number, 16. And I would either write down or use a factor tree, and I would list all of the factors of 16. I'm choosing the smallest number because I want the least amount of work possible for me. And so the smallest numbers usually have the least factors in them. Now, if you're looking at one, you're like, oh, that's prime. You know, you have a little bit better of a number sense. Yeah, that makes your life easier. I'm just assuming that, if you're watching this, you're not there. So then what I would do is starting from the biggest number and working my way to the smallest, I am going to try out these different factors to see what is the biggest one that fits into, in this case, negative 16, positive 40, and negative 64. I am going biggest to smallest because what we're finding right now is the greatest common factor, the biggest one. So I would start and I would take 16, get rid of that. I would take 16 and I'd say, okay, does 16 divide into 40? No. Or I would look at 40 and I'd say, okay, do I see 16? Nope. So then I'm going to try my next number, 8. Okay, well, 8 goes into 16. 8 does go into 40. And when I do this, I'm going to write that factor pair. So when I look at my factor tree, I see 5 times 8. And then when I look at negative 64, I have negative 8 and positive 8. So I'm going to circle that 8. It fits into every single thing. Perfect. That is going to be my GCF, or my constant part of it. And over for 60, I'm going to erase these other numbers. Except I didn't want to erase the one that goes with 8. There we go. Next, let's write out our variables. Here, I have 3 x's and 1 y. I have 5 x's and 4 y's. And finally, I have 1 x, I have 2 y's, and I have a z. Okay, so let's look at what all of these have in common. Starting with x's, this has 1x, this has 1x, and this has 1x. If I want to continue and be like, oh, this has more x's with it, I can't, because if I look over here on the right-hand side, notice I don't have any more x's. That's all of them. So all they have here is 1x in common. Okay, and then I'm going to hop over. I'm going to look at my y's. Okay, I have 1 y here. I have 1 y here. And I have 1 y here. And then finally, when I go to look at my z's, I don't have z's everywhere. So this is not going to be a GCF. So what do all of my terms have in common? They all have an 8. They all have 1x. and they all have 1y. I needed that z. Now, this is me listing my GCF. This thing right here is my GCF. Now, I'm going to take this one step further. Sometimes we need to do this, and sometimes we don't. I'm going to factor the GCF out. The reason why I'm changing up how my work looks in this video is because of this next step. So if I want to list, or I want to talk about what is left over when I factor it, I'm going to look up here as to what's left over. So out of my negative 16, and I have a mistake I need to go back to. Out of my negative 16, I circled the 8. 2 is left over. I have 2 x's left over. And you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and call that x squared. And my y's all got taken out. So like if I look here, I don't have any other y's. And now I'm going to move to my next piece. Okay, I have 5. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 x's. I have 1, 2, 3 y's. And there's my second term. And finally, look at this last piece. I circled the 8. What's left over? Negative 8. I don't have any x's left over. I have 1 y left over, and I have 1 z left over. Okay, now, the reason why I said, hey, I have a mistake here, and I'm going to erase this z right here so that gets out of the way of my work. This term right here is negative. Because this first term is negative, my GCF is going to be negative. This is a really easy and a really subtle mistake to make. You just watched me make this mistake. Now that being said, here's my GCF. Here is that factored piece. So if I were to list what this original thing I wrote factors into, it's going to be negative 8xy times that stuff in the parenthesis. Now, as we go through this, here's how to find and factor using a GCF. Again, how I'm doing this is a little bit different. You see me starting out writing out all the factors of the smallest number and then test from greatest to least to see, hey, what is the biggest number that works? I then go through and I write out those different factor pairs. I circle them. And then when I start factoring, you see me going, okay, I took out the 8 or I used that already. That other thing is what's left over. For my variables, if they all have the same letter, then I'm taking out the thing with the smallest exponent. This is the general steps for how we would find and factor a GCF. We start out in this unit doing it just kind of focus on only GCF, and then you see it become the first step in future problems.